So how deep does a rabbit hole go? Like there's like a whole battle being fought. Ray Dalio talks about the 5 types of war. One of them is technological. How deep is that war?
The espionage war or the technological war?
The espionage war.
So let's start with the espionage war, because this is a point that I love making that not everybody understands, right? 2016, the election where Trump became president, it became mainstream news that the Russians were suspected to be interfering with the election. And the world went crazy, right? The American people went bananas. FBI, Secret Service, Facebook had to change their algorithms. Twitter was on the chopping block for contributing to Russian covert influence operations, right? You remember.
Oh, yes.
Why the hell do we think 2016 was the first time that happened? Why would we think that? Because we caught them in 2016? I mean, if we caught them in 2016, how many elections did they influence successfully before that where we never caught them? And that's just one country. What about China? What about France? What about Israel? What about Germany? What about Brazil? What about India? I mean, there's as many countries out there. There's 160, 64, I think, countries right now. Every one of them has something to gain by influencing the outcome of the American election. Why would we think that nothing ever happened prior to 2016? Why would we think that the presidents we've elected, even in just yours and mine timeline, why do we think Bush was chosen by the American people? Why do we think Obama was chosen by the American people? Why do we think these people came to power of their own independent, uninfluenced, no foreign activity, hard work? It's probability-wise, it's extremely improbable. Like it's improbable that these people came to power and there wasn't also some country engaging in covert influence that was contributing to the outcome of the election.
Jesus.
That's how deep it goes. It's silly for us to think that just because we see it, that means that it started then. It's like seeing a roach in your apartment, right? If you see a roach in your apartment, that's not the only roach. The walls are disgusting with roaches, right? We saw it in 2016. That means it's been there for a long, long time. Why do we think George Washington became the first president of the United States? Because he earned it and the American people voted for him? France was the reason we won the American Revolution. You don't think that had something to do with, you don't think France had a say in who became the leader of the new United States? Now, I'm not saying that all of our presidents have been given to us by foreign powers. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am...
It's part of the equation.
It's a part of the equation. And you can't ignore that part of the equation, right? So now we have our entire political system is constantly embroiled in some sort of battle with espionage. And that's just our political system. Our DOD, I don't know how much you keep up with espionage news. Russia has penetrated the Army's medical corps. 2 Army officers were arrested just 3 months ago.
Whoa.
Recruited spies, recruited by the Russians. Yeah. We've had nuclear naval engineers recruited by the Chinese who have also been arrested in the last 3 to 4 months.
I heard about that one.
Like, we are heavily penetrated, heavily targeted, heavily penetrated by all the services in the world. And there's a famous quote out there in the world of foreign policy that says there are no permanent friends or enemies, just permanent interests.
Whoa, that's good.
So why do we think anybody is a friend? Why do we think an ally is a friend? If you recall, there was a major issue, I think it was 2010, maybe 2011, where the German chancellor was notified that the American NSA was spying on the Germans.
Whoa. We
have had people go to jail from our Navy who were recruited and working as spies for the Israelis.
What?
Like, this history tells you the story. It's just that nobody really spends time researching espionage history. So we have to understand how laughably predictable are human beings. We are so laughably predictable that you and I can predict that people aren't even aware that arrests are happening every few months of spies in the United States, in the military, in politics. right? In the Department of State, in the Department of Commerce, in the White House. Like, it's not surprising unless you let yourself be surprised, which, again, it's a predictable human thing to just, if we don't know about it, then it must not exist.